All right, this is going to be in essence, tutorial or a review of what is expected of your car accident scene project. Very similar to what we did with your homicide crime scene photography project. Once again, you can use your cell phone. Some things I do want to point out before we get into this and kind of how we approach photographing vehicles either at a crash scene or even if we get a call for insurance purposes, we get a call and need to be able to document any damage done to a vehicle. Uh, what I do want to point out for the project itself is for pictures and things like that, what I recommend and what works best, and you'll see it through most of this uh, file, this Word file that's been used. Um, if you can get two pictures like you have on this page right here, if you can get these two pictures to fill up the page without anything else, but either way, maximum number of pictures per page should be two. Uh, I didn't take anything off for some of the projects I received last time for the homicide crime scene. I saw multiple pictures, meaning like more than two. You had three. Occasionally, there'd just be random pictures put on a page. This time, you will be expected to have it in a more orderly fashion. Follow the table of contents that you have, and do it in an organized manner, as well as having, like I said, the most you would want on one page would be two. If you had to adjust, you can crop that fairly easily. All you should have to do is double click on your picture once you've put it in here, once you've inserted it into your document, then go up to crop, and then you will be able to crop from that point on. Once you're done, then you can basically get out of that by uh, so that's the easy way if you need to crop or you need to move anything. That's the best way. Like I said, two photographs per page. Don't want to spend too much time talking about that. So, like I said, let's go and get started on this to where it's going to be a situation that you can do this at crash scenes. You can do this uh, for, as I mentioned earlier, insurance purposes if someone calls and needs a police report um, indicating damage on a vehicle, things like that. So, just like we did for the crime scene, we're going to start from the exterior. Okay. So, what there is one difference it will have. So, where we had three photographs from the outside on everything as far as the long range, medium range, and close up, the only thing you need to worry about from this perspective for the any type of car accident scene or vehicular um, incident, all you need to do is have a long range and medium range. Long range to indicate general idea where you're at, and also to identify the vehicle that you are looking at. Okay, I've seen pictures before during investigations or whatever where you don't have the only information you have is the photo of the damage. You need more than that. How do you prove that it came from a particular vehicle if you can't identify that vehicle in a previous picture, or if it was caused by some other vehicle based on location? You need more information about what specific vehicle you're discussing, and we'll talk about how important it is when it comes to photographing the VIN and in essence vehicle identification number. Why you definitely need to have that and in sequence. Okay, so starting here, though, like I said, a long range photo that gives you perspective to the area that you are in, whether it be if it's in a parking lot, give me perspective as far as what is this parking lot near. If it's in on a street, same kind of concept. Do you have a way to make a picture to where you can see the intersection, maybe a street sign, something that indicates where you are? Okay. Same thing goes for if you, I mentioned a parking lot, but if you happen to be, say the vehicle's already been towed, um, to a salvage lot or some auto repair facility, take a picture so we know where it's taking place. All right. And the second one is simply specifying which vehicle. If there happen to be multiple vehicles next to this white vehicle here, was white Buick. If there happen to be something else next to it, we want to specify. Okay, it's not just one of these cars sitting here. It is this car in particular, right? You're walking this person to the vehicle of interest, and you can do this for multiple vehicles if you have to, right? The same concept though. So, as you like I said, long range, medium range, um, it doesn't matter which, whether it's from the front or back side of the vehicle, as long as you find a picture that gives the person who's going to look at this the best idea of where you are located. Okay. So, you have that, and then what you're going to do from here is you're going to need to identify the you're going to take 8 pictures, and it's going to identify the different corners that you have of your vehicle. Yes, the 4 corners, but then you're also going to have the 4 sides. So total, you're looking at 8 pictures. If you want to follow, if you're good enough with directions, you can, as it states here, 4 corners based on north, northeast, etc. Right? Work your way around the vehicle, um, and I'll indicate or I'll show you some examples of what we had to do for this one. And what I would recommend if you don't know directions very well, or you live in a place where it's a little bit more difficult to determine that, just simply start on the same corner and indicate what corner you're starting on. Okay, should be obvious when you look at the car, but you still want people who are looking at this to know where, like when they get to the table of contents, if they don't know what direction you're looking at least give them an idea of, whether it be the front, front driver's side, corner, or however you want to start, right? Give them a starting point and go from there. So for this particular case, something that you can be aware of also, notice this picture, and there'll be a few others that are of a different vehicle. If something happens to where, not in real life, obviously, but for this project, if something happens to where the vehicle that you are using, one of the pictures isn't wanting to cooperate, um, isn't wanting to you can't insert it into the file for some reason, and you need to take a new picture, well, you can do substitution pictures. Just make sure, just like you have here on this caption, point out what the picture is, what's it substitute for, okay? So even though this is the vehicle of interest, uh, for some changes took place, and we had to substitute this one in as one of our photographs, okay? So what we would do here is you are making your way around the vehicle. So I've started right, excuse me, the front driver's side. Next picture will be from the side. About the same distance. You want to be able to get the entire car into that, fill the frame with that car. Okay. Um, and then basically just walk around that vehicle, stopping at the corners and each side. So if you follow along, front driver's side, back driver's side corner, back of the vehicle, and yes, you will. It's all right to have a license plate in your pictures. Obviously, same thing goes for whenever you're doing this for an actual report or anything like that. But even for this project, same thing goes. This information won't go anywhere except for to me, so it's not going to be a problem. Uh, so we have this. Like I said, back passenger side corner, and then you're going to go to passenger side, and you've already so you come up to the passenger side, front passenger side, front of the vehicle. So you've covered everything, right? Once you've covered all areas in a medium range, so like I said, fill the frame, but far enough to where the whole vehicle's in it, that's going to be considered medium range photo. Once you've completed all those for the entire vehicle all the way around, then you're going to want to go to what may be a little bit more difficult depending on what vehicle you choose to photograph. It's considered an aerial view. If you can get above it, completely above it, that would be great. If you want to try to use a, excuse me, if you want to try to use a ladder, if you happen to have a taller vehicle, that's fine. But what you may run into is, smaller vehicles won't be a problem. What I would recommend and the focus of this should be, as long as you can get the top of this vehicle, that's fine. It may not be perfect. It may not be like our aerial of the homicide victim. It's not going to be directly over the top. If you can, and you, like I said, have a ladder, have some way to be above a vehicle, great. If not, do your best to photograph any information or say evidence, damage, whatever that may be at the top of the vehicle, right? On the roof of it. So once you've done that, you've got your aerial photo. Now what you're going to do is open up all the doors just so you can see from medium range that the doors are open, they function. If a door doesn't function, just note that. And that's going to be in this picture like, well, there's either no door or the door doesn't function. But either way, show that they all um, operate and operate correctly. And then you will need to do a medium range and close up of your driver's license. Um, Indiana, for Indiana students, will focus just on the back. If you happen to be an Illinois student, that's all right. You can, or any other state that has both the front and back, just worry about the back license plate for the time being. So we've got our vehicle all the way around, did the aerial, functionality for doors, and then license just to identify. And here's the other thing. Once again, going back to identifying the vehicle and specifying which vehicle, you always want to indicate, once again, what vehicle we're talking about. Because if I just take this picture right here, the license plate, that doesn't indicate anything. That picture in and of itself does not tell me much about the vehicle. Yeah, I can see it got a Buick. That's really about it, but it doesn't indicate the make, model, I guess take the make out of there, model, color of the vehicle, condition of the vehicle. It doesn't prove anything. So that's why you want to back out to like a medium range first and then go to close up of the license plate, right? Making our way around. Now we've established the vehicle. Another thing that can be a common issue, that would need to be looked at would be tire, whether it be damage, whether it be something that could have happened, some cause a flat tire that could have led to the crash or damage. That's something to consider. Also, you want to look at this in terms of like road conditions. So what we're going to look at here is you'll notice on all four tires. So you'll want to get a picture of not just the tires, but you want to get a picture that shows the condition of the wheel, condition of everything associated with this particular um, wheel that we have, right? So even the wheel well, we'll get into that a little bit. But for the most part, you just want to be able to demonstrate that, what was the condition of that wheel and tire and just area, right? So, and indicate, once again, the order that you go around the vehicle the first time when you photograph it, from just the sides, use that same pattern when you're doing the wheels. All right, so this is going to be your front driver's side tire and wheel. All right, we got that. But here's the next step on it. So we're not done with this because there's more to it, right? We need to be able to see the tread. What kind of condition was the tread in? If it was as you can see, may be able to see here, you have a little bit of moisture. So if road conditions would have been wet or icy, snowy, whatever, um, was there something about the tread and the tires that would have contributed to the crash, for example? And the way we figure that out, or can, is by taking a picture of the tread itself. Okay, it doesn't have to be every single inch of tread, just simply in general, what's the condition of the tread, right? So, and also if you happen to find anything in the tread, yeah, you can photograph that. But for the most part, you're looking for condition of the tread. So tire and wheel, tread, and this happens to be from the uh, a different angle, but either way, same concept. Here's the back one, back tread, back um, passenger side, tread, front passenger side, tread. Okay, as long as you can show the tread itself, and this is probably not the best picture, but if you were to take that picture and zoom in, you could see it a little bit better. But either way, if you want to take this in, and like I said, each wheel and tire plus the tread, just to show the condition of the tread, is all you need to do. So we've got the vehicle all the way around again. I'm going to kind of review each time just to make sure we understand what we're doing. Uh, Vehicle from far or long range, medium frame the entire frame of the entire vehicle, and then you're going to go around the corners and sides, right? And then we're going to get the aerial, license plate, and then we got the tires, the tread, okay, anything along those lines. And then now what we're going to go into, you're going to look at, it does not matter the specific order, it just depends on how you choose to put it in your table of contents. You're going to look for what's under the hood, and then and condition of um, all the mechanical components right under the hood, and then you're going to go to the trunk and any contents that it may have. All right. So as you can see here, this is your all you need to know. As long as you can identify which vehicle this is, and if you can, you may want to back up just a little bit compared to what this picture is. But for the most part, you are indicating what am I getting ready to look at, right? We've been talking about the same vehicle. Now we're going to show, hey, this looks like obviously the engine compartment, right? So we look here. Now we get it to look what kind of condition is everything in, right? More specific. It's always general to specific. Same thing here. We may not have much of interest in here as far as items that would be in the trunk that could have contributed to the accident or anything else, any other evidence that may be in there, right? But once again, showing the entire vehicle um, and showing where things would be. Okay, so we've got that, and then once again, just like we did over here for the engine compartment, do the same thing for the trunk. What contents do we have? If anything, I would suggest getting a little closer and having a picture here that would be more directly from above, but you get the general concept of the contents. If we find evidence or something really important, yeah, we'll want to focus on that, and we'll photograph that differently, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But for the most part, like I said, this is just general knowledge of and documentation of what was in the vehicle, condition of the vehicle, things like that. All right, so we've done that, and this is a substitute. Um, Once again here, I had to do a substitute for a mid-range photo for your VIN. Once again, right, I mentioned earlier that you need to be able to show that just because you take a picture of I'm going to scroll down here, just because you take a picture of the vehicle identification number here, that doesn't necessarily indicate what vehicle it came from. So that's why you need a picture of the vehicle that you're in question or that you're using for this particular project. Show me the vehicle again. Back up to like a medium range area. As long as you can see the vehicle, see which one we're actually talking about, and maybe even it would be ideal if you could have a picture of where you could see the VIN a little bit better. The day here didn't help the weather, a little hazy. So either way, take a picture of the vehicle, and then you're going to get your close-up of your VIN. All right. So once you have your VIN number, if you ever, little side note, if you happen to try to photograph the VIN on a sunny day, or there's a lot of light somewhere or coming from a different direction, well, first of all, take the flash off of your camera or phone, whichever you're using. Let's just say camera. Don't use the flash, um, because yeah, that will definitely make it almost impossible to get a good picture from um, of the VIN through glass. Okay, um, but some different options you have. One that tends to work the best would be to kind of do an oblique angle. So basically, go at maybe a 45-degree angle away from your um, what you would normally have on your VIN number. Excuse me. Um, and then you, like I said, if it's a bright day or you can't see very well, take a 45-degree angle and you'll still be able to see your numbers clearly. All right, so now that we've done that, we will go for, we've taken care of the outside of the vehicle. Now we have to document the inside of the vehicle. Easy way to do that, just like we did, as far as how we went around the vehicle, right, for different things. We went around the vehicle for the overall photo, the mid-range photo of all the different sides of the vehicle. And then we went around for the tires the same way, right? Tires and wheels. Now what we're going to do, same concept except doors and the inside of what we got going on. So um, first thing, driver's side door, right? Open it, show the door, take a picture of the door as far as what you see here, controls, the door panel, all that, okay? And since this happens to be the same door that you're going to have a lot of your information on, if you happen to have this information here, that would be for vehicle information in case it came in handy to know. Okay, first of all, VIN number is important. It gives you a second. Uh, it gives you that second place to look for a VIN. Granted, there's multiple places to find one on a vehicle, but this gives you in your photographs, gives you that second option for VIN. And if it happens to come in handy for um, you know, gross vehicle weight and all that, and certain or their gross vehicle weight rating, if those are important for your particular crash or incident, you'll have all that information there. But take a picture of that sticker that has the VIN number, vehicle information on it. Then, when you go from that, um, now you can take a picture of what you're doing here. Um, is you're basically trying to get an overall idea of the measurement of the vehicle. You don't have to get it exact, um, but you do want to be able to indicate um, what sort of scale you were using if you had to do any measurements, right? So what I would ideally, like in this case here, it would be ideal if you could somehow take this picture here, but then also take one that would be a little bit closer, still show more of the car, but also show what sort of measurements you're using. I think this is the issue that they ran into on this one, was that they couldn't get close enough to the vehicle to uh, close enough to the measuring device and still keep the entire vehicle, or at least more of the vehicle in the picture. So this was acceptable to use as long as you had some type of idea of showing indicating scale. Okay, so yeah, so that's the next thing. Like I said, after you document the VIN, the vehicle information from the driver's side door panel, now you get to take the measurement, show what types of measurements you're using or measuring device on the vehicle to scale. Using the back of the vehicle works perfectly fine. And now what we're going to do from here is actually the stuff that we would normally be thinking of, like getting to the specifics. So I want you ideally find, or if you need to, find a vehicle as long as someone will allow you to, borrow their vehicle to demonstrate damage that you may find on the exterior. Okay, I'm only going to require that you find, um, say, one exterior place for damage. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I was thinking the wrong thing. two spots for damage on the exterior. Doesn't have to be this, it could be the same corner. If you happen to get into a crash and your vehicle really does have damage, same place, that's fine. But just at least two different um, demarcations or damage to the vehicle on the exterior. Even if you have to, like I said, ideally you yourself or someone else would have a vehicle that would have something like that that you could use, even if it's not really from a crash, as long as there's something that you can indicate, yeah, the car is not pristine. It'd be great if everybody had cars that didn't have that problem, but more than likely everybody's going to have some sort of ding or something like that on a car that they have or someone else they know has. Okay, so two, and if not, if you're that lucky, then just make something that would look similar to damage, right? So either way, once we've photographed, what we're going to do is now, just like we do for evidence, when we talked about the homicide, we said the 3-photo rule. That's now we're going to start using that 3-photo rule for our damage and evidence that we're going to get into. Okay, so long range, medium range, close range with a marker, right? That's one. So we've already got that, right? Long, medium. So in your long, indicate the car, the area you're in. Medium, be more specific of the areas you're focusing on. What damage are you really focusing on? And then the third photo would be of the specific damage with a measuring device. It doesn't have to be exactly next to it, but demonstrate that you can measure, or a general concept about how extensive the damage is. Okay. Same concept for our next thing, right? Long range, and then we've got medium range, which we wanted to get a little closer so you could distinguish that from this one. So medium range, close range with a measuring device. Okay, and then now we can move from the exterior damage, just like we had exterior evidence in the homicide. Once we got done with all that, we moved inside, right? Same concept, outside to inside when you're dealing with a vehicle also. So now, go back to what we did before. Again, you can either take a new picture or reuse the picture of a that you had used before with your door panel for your driver's side door panel, or the driver door panel, right? Front driver's side. And then you will always have the pattern of, as long as it doesn't say always, but as long as it's available, the pattern you would have would be door panel, seat or seated area, and then you're going to come over here and have your floorboard, your carpeting, whatever you've got there. That area right there, the footwell, or that's the area that we're talking about. That's the third one, right? Door panel, uh, seat, and then the floorboard. Do that same thing for, just like I said before, the same process we went around the vehicle for outside stuff, doing the same thing for internal stuff. Backside or back driver's side, door panel, door itself, or excuse me, the seat itself, and then floorboard. All right, and then we've now this particular case, it was, instead of going around, this had been put in a different order. So what I would normally suggest is, and it's not like it's vital that you do it in this way, it just makes it simpler to follow sometimes. Um, so what I would have suggested normally would say, okay, instead of going to the front passenger side, I would have said or suggested going to the rear passenger side first. But we'll we'll take it as is, right? Door panel, best you can, the seat, and then floorboard. Same thing goes here. Door panel, seat, floorboard. All right. And the reason why this one's different here is because now we're getting, like I said, it's continuing to work into other areas. It all depends on what areas you have access to, depending on what the situation is that you're responding to. Um, if you have access, legal access to the glove compartment, and you can open it up, then yeah, you would want to get a picture of uh, this right here, where you have the open door, glove compartment is open. What sort of contents do you have in your glove compartment? And you see everything here pretty clearly. And then that's your medium range. And then that's another thing, you don't have to worry about long range. Once you get um, inside, then you can just stick to, like when it comes to this stuff with your glove compartment, stick with just medium, and then close up. Pedals, were they damaged? Was there anything on them? Those are things that you would want to take a picture of to see, were they broken? Did they have, like I said, any damage, any substance that may have been on them or anything like that that could have contributed to the crash. You'll also want to get that. So passenger side here with glove compartment, driver side, you're going to want to look at the pedals. Okay, top of the vehicle, just to see what kind of condition it was in. Also, if it happens to be involved with a crash, for example, sometimes you'll have some evidence up here, whether it be um, you may end up seeing blood and stuff like that up in the roof of it, the top of your interior. But either way, just like I said, smaller compartments which you have access to, um, pedal area, make sure they're functioning, and then the top to make sure that it see whatever evidence might be up here, or also if there's anything else that would indicate what happened. So once we've done that, now what you want to do is move more specifically to the driver perspective at the time. Okay, so what what shows up for your vehicle display, right? This is since this vehicle happened to have three separate uh, analog things for us to look at, you would have um, break it down and say, okay, here's the far left, middle, and then the middle one could also get. Now you see this concept like the whole panel, right? You have over here the left side, the far left side of your display panel, and this second picture gets you the rest of the display panel. Okay, and same concept here, right? It's giving you the full spectrum of what the driver was seeing in terms of gauges, right? Were they functioning? Were they broken? Um, it's helpful to if the car will turn the battery on to see what shows up. And then you have, once you take a picture of the displays, right, then you can give a perspective of what was the driver seeing when he or she was behind the wheel. And that's just as simple as that. Take a picture of about where um, their head or eyes should have been in terms of looking forward, uh, any obstruction, anything like that. Even if it's something in a parking lot that has nothing to do with what may have caused the damage, that's helpful sometimes just to see, in case there was something that they claim, there's already something wrong with the vehicle or something along those lines. How is it affecting um, the driver view, for example? Okay. All right. Now, now we get to um, look at interior. Is there any interior damage? You may not have any. So if you do not have any interior damage, I'm not going to make you uh, report that. But this was just an example here that was sent in to where you have doors open so you can see in the interior, and then you're going to have a long range, medium range, close-up range of damage. Okay? but you may not have any damage to report. And if you don't have any damage to report, that's perfectly fine. Just take that out of your table of contents. Okay. Now, um, same thing here. This is all that was, a couple different examples of interior damage. Anytime you have damage or evidence, it's always going to be a long range, medium, and close up. You know, the 3 photo rule of evidence, right? For other things, like I said, other items that you're just noting, like I was talking about earlier with the glove compartment, with the roof of the vehicle, and the uh, pedal conditions, or how it was configured, for example, you won't need 3 pictures for that. Just essentially, the most you would ever need would be 2. All right, and same thing goes for this. Is actually, I had misspoken on uh, damage, so I apologize. What I meant to say, and should have been thinking, but it wasn't. Uh, yeah, I'm correct on the 3 photo rule, but you will have at least 1 damage. I hope you don't have damage to the inside of your vehicle, like real damage. But if you do, utilize it for this part. So what I would suggest, even if you don't have damage, you can, as long as you indicate that you are understanding how you would identify it. So, for example, you are going to have interior damage, but maybe simply be something that's not actual damage to your vehicle. For example, in this case, they used a piece of paper to indicate that that was the quote damage. Okay, so you'd have long range with the door open, right, indicating where we're getting ready to go. Medium range with your damage that you would have or evidence, right? And then close range, evidence or damage with a measuring device, right? The same one we've been using before. Understand that concept? I hope you do. And like I said, I apologize for not thinking it and wording it incorrectly. So, some things you will have, you may have to update your table of contents, or at least adapt it. Other than the pictures we already talked about, from identifying um, from the long range and medium range of what vehicle we're even talking about, then going around the vehicle, 8 different places to take a picture. Then you're going to go through um, then you're going to go to the aerial of the vehicle. Then you're going to go to the 4 wheels and tires and tread, right? And then you get to document the damage here. Let me go back up to remind you, right? So, and then once we've done the tread, then you're going to do your engine block, or engine compartment, I should say. Um, and then you go to your trunk. Same concept, we already talked about it. Get your VIN information here on the windshield, and then ideally get your second VIN and vehicle information from the driver's door. Okay. Then do your measuring device, indicating kind of scale. Um, if you're using a measuring tape or whatever it is you happen to have at the time, along with once again your driver's license or your license plate. And then once you've done that, document your damage. You're going to have at least 2 uh, points of damage, or 2 areas that you're going to focus on for your 3 photo rule, right? Long, medium, close up of your damage. Same thing goes, right? 2 of them. Okay. Once you've done that, then you can do like we talked about with documenting the uh, interior. Not necessarily damage or evidence yet, just simply documenting the interior. Door panel, seat, um, floorboard, for all 4 areas, or if you happen to have a vehicle that only has 2 and has a back seat, same kind of concept. If you have for example, a 2-door vehicle, what you need to do, hypothetically, so if you have this vehicle, if this were your 2-door vehicle, door panel, seat, and then floorboard. But for your back seat, what you would do is simply fold the seat up that you need to look at, or in essence, how you would a person would normally get into the back seat. Um, that's how you would want to photograph it. So if someone could get in using by moving the passenger side seat forward, um, that's the picture that you would want to use that would be equivalent to your door panel door. And then you'd want to take a picture of what it is in the, what the back seat looks like, even though there's no door to the back seat. Demonstrate the back seat, the back, the cushion itself that you're sitting on, and then go to the floorboard of the back. That's really the only difference for two-door vehicles, for example. Okay, and then once we've done that, right, glove compartment's the next thing, right? As soon as I get down here, right, and only the most you would need for anything like the um, glove compartment or pedals is simply, two for the glove compartment, picture, medium range, close up, and then your pedals to make sure that they're not broken, or in essence they look like they should function, or nothing else is kind of messed up. That's when you would want one picture of that, one picture of the roof of the car. What is the driver seeing in terms of display when the battery's on and operating, assuming it can. If not, take a picture of what you can see. If it's like an analog, um, doesn't matter. Just try to show what, ideally with the battery on, show what the driver was seeing when they looked at their display, and show what the driver sees when they look. If you put yourself in the driver's position, camera can go slightly above the steering wheel, for example. So that's just showing their view, right? Once we've done that, now you get to look for damage in the car, right? I said evidence or damage in the car. You're gonna have the 3-photo rule, like always. Like, so I'm gonna use this as the example here. Again, longer range photo showing the door open, showing what part of the car you're talking about, what car itself you're talking about, and then the evidence itself within the compartment, the passenger compartment. And the last one is this photo here of your supposed damage or evidence, right? Um, all I need for you to do is, for your narrative, unlike the homicide part, you don't have to tell me what you think happened or anything like that. Just simply explain um, what's beneficial about photographing vehicles this way. Why do we suggest photographing it the way that I've explained? That's all you need to do. So 2, maybe 3 sentences explaining how it's done, the benefits of, pick on, if you want to, the easiest way of saying that, or easiest way of um, making sure you get the narrative and get the points for the narrative is simply picking out 3 benefits to photographing vehicles like this. What do you gain from it? Why would we do it this way? So that's all I really have for you in regards to the photography project. The accident, yes, there are more pictures involved with this than what there would have been with, or what they were with your homicide, but that's kind of like the next thing. Like I said, stepping it up a little bit. But this right here, I will make this available, this particular project available to you, or at least a table of contents. And that way, all you really need to do is simply either take these photos out and edit what picture, what page these different pictures are on. Copy and paste this if you want. In essence, you can take the photos out and put your own photos in, and adjust the page numbers if you need to, or copy and paste the table of contents page into your own document and make your own. But either way, this is what I want you to use for a template. That was something I noticed with some of the projects previously, is that there was no indication that you followed the table of contents or that you put it in an order that made sense. So yeah, that's definitely something to be aware of. And if um, that was a place where I tried not to grade too hard on it, but yeah, there were some that it needed a lot of work. It was definitely confusing to try to make sense of the pictures and the documents that you had. So that's all I have for this particular, if you want to call it lecture, but discussing of the uh, car accident scene and vehicle photography. Understand that check your due dates. If there's any updates on that, I will send out an announcement. If anything, I will extend it. Don't forget about your um, research paper that will be due. It's coming up. So um, if you have questions on this project or your paper, let me know. Also, today I will make available the lecture for the information for the fire investigations and things like that. It'll be fairly simple. Um, I'm not going to expect that to be in depth for most of you, since most of you will not be going into any type of fire and explosion investigation at this point in time. So anyway, thanks for um, taking the time doing your work in this class. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Sorry that it hadn't been hands-on as much as what we would normally like. But yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.